There was a hunter in the woods who, after a long day of hunting, was in the middle of a dense forest. It was getting dark, and having lost his bearings, he decided to head in one direction until he was in the clear of an increasing oppressive foliage. After what seemed to be like hours, he came across a cabin in a small clearing. Realizing how dark it had grown, he decided to see if he could stay there for the night. He approached and found the door ajar. Nobody was inside. The hunter flopped down on the single bed, deciding to explain himself to the owner in the morning. As he looked around inside of the cabin, he was surprised to see all the walls adorned by several portraits, all painted incredibly in detail, without explanation. They appeared to be staring down at him, their features twisted into looks of hatred and malice. Staring back, he grew increasingly uncomfortable, making concentrated effort and ignore the many hateful faces. He turned to face the wall, and exhausted, and he fell into the restless sleep. The next morning, the hunter woke up. He turned, thinking the unexpected sunlight. Looking up, he discovered that the cabin had no portraits, only windows. And that, my little pretties, was The Portraits, a creepypasta. My final thoughts on this story? Well, I've been kind of wanting to, narrate this one for, I guess a long time, so now is the appropriate time to narrate this story. Now, I actually found this story to be rather interesting. It had a pretty good, interesting concept for how, it was going to be. Like, this story basically portrays, well, a hunter, hunting in the forest, probably deer or something, which doesn't surprise me. But I definitely would have to say that I really found this creepypasta to be enjoyable. Now, I did hear it once from Creepsmapasta's channel, and I think I did hear, about, the creepypasta from, a few, a few other narrators who also narrated this story. Now, I remember Mr. Nightmare did narrate this at one point, but there's like re-uploads of it. I think the reason why this story was pretty interesting was that the concept went out. Now, I did hear, a few other narrations, narrated this story, and I have to say, it's a pretty good narration for what this is. Like, the person ended up going to the house, and when he ends up going there, he ends up seeing that there, are portraits, paintings, and he ends up thinking that he's being watched from it. But, when he wakes up the next morning, he realizes that they're not there. Now, I do have, a theory. Basically, the house is haunted or haunted. Like, the cabin must have been haunted when the hunter walked in. So once he did walk in, he goes straight to bed and he sees the portraits. But they weren't really there. I have a feeling that it could be either him hallucinating, or it could be his paranoia, or it's most likely the fact that the whole, cabin was haunted. So that wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. I really do have to say that I really found this story to be an enjoyable, read. Like, when I first read this story, I really enjoyed how, the whole concept of how this story went out. It's a really well-made story. I definitely would have to say it's a pretty good story in regards to how, the story is. I really do find that the story itself was enjoyable, really well-made in detail, and I have to say, the grammar of this story is pretty good. Like, I really like the grammar of this story, along with the sentence structuring, the storyline. Basically, everything about it was flat out amazing. I really do think that this story had a pretty good detail for what this one is. It had a really good, concept. I really do find this story to be, enjoyable. It's an enjoyable creepypasta. There was definitely a lot of time and effort into it. It was definitely well made. Really do appreciate of how good, the whole concept of this story really is. I really do find this one to be amazing, well done, and just flat out a well-made story. Now, I really do not know who the author of this story is, because I can't seem to find the original offer for this story. So I'm just gonna state as anonymous unless I find out who the original offer is. So if I do find out who the original offer is, I'll be sure to give him or her proper credit, as this is an awesome story. It was definitely well made and detailed. There was definitely a lot of time and effort into the story. I really do find this story to be an enjoyable concept for what this one is. I really do think that this story does, provided pretty good detail. Although it's a short story, nevertheless, but it's still a very interesting concept for this. So I definitely have to say it's a pretty good story. I really do appreciate this story being good because, I really like how this story, includes the paranormal of this. So I'm assuming this story was maybe written in 2013, maybe 2014, or maybe 2012 even. I'm not really too sure, but I really would have to say that I really do find this story to be entertaining. It was well made. Really do like how, everything about it was just flat out amazing. So I definitely would have to say that this story was a pretty good story, not gonna lie. Really well made in detail. There's definitely lots of time and effort into it, and I really do know how well this story was made. So, I guess with that being the case, that being said, like I'm gonna say right now, and like I always continue to say, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be, I guess I'm gonna have to give this one a 10 out of 10. It's a really great story. It was very well made. I really do like how it had a pretty good concept for, what this story really is. I really do have to say this is actually the best creepypasta I've narrated, although there are some other ones out there that are good, but this one is just a pretty good one. Now, I can't really say anything that I don't like about this one. I can't see anything that I don't like about this story. Well, maybe if I did, I would have explained it, but anyways, that being the case, that being said, but what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so that you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro, because I'm